So, as you guys can see and hear, if you are listening on the podcast platforms, which if you are, or even if you're not, please go over there and sub and like and rate all that stuff. Help us out over there. Please sub to this channel as well, the JCast Network here on YouTube. But you are already aware that Tim Sim has joined us here already. But we're going to talk to Tim a little bit about what he does, what he has to do with the Schmoedown. And our very own Dan, he knows Tim. So I'm going to hand it over to Dan and let Dan get us rolling in this.
Yeah, for the people who are just joining the Schmoedown within the recent years, me and Tim actually worked on Trivia SD, which was the Schmoedown website where we wrote articles. Tim did his previews. I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do and did I interviewed Christian, I did fan theories, I did a whole lot of great stuff. And Frank Janis was there, PJ Campbell, Janine Machine, a lot of great people were there. So obviously, so now you're caught up. The fans are caught up with us. My first question is what were some of the best moments for you on Trivia Steve? Because I had some great moments, but what were your great moments?
Well, I mean, first off, I want to say it's really great to see my fellow coworker back again
Mm-hmm.
after after working on the same website for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think the best moment for me is definitely the conversations I had with our then editor in chief of the TriviaSD.com, the beast himself, Bibiani.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, we definitely had those conversations where in moments where I had those writer's blocks and really had the tough times of trying to figure out how to cover a specific match or a storyline. And Bibbs would always be there with the messaging, the emails over what he learned from his experience as a writer and an in-depth coverage reporter of all movies. And he's just been really helpful with me to figure out how to get out of those ruts and help me to find some different, creative ways to cover the different storylines in the matches that we had. I think it was like several years ago, and I still have those emails with me right now and help me with keeping those advice that Bibbs gave me about just to be a professional writer and for not just here when covering sport on matches, but later on in life.
Yeah.
Same here. I archived those emails because I value those.
All right. And on my end, I'm curious because you have a long, expanding career now. This is not, you're not just like a month in. You have learned things. You have a journey when it comes to writing articles and writing like sports coverage about Schmoedown, right? So, what's the couple things you've learned about throughout your journey that you had the experience to learn?
Well, I mean, first thing is that well, of course, most of the journey has been done by myself, and it was just the covering the Schmoedown. It started off as a passion, as just a side of a passion piece of something I enjoy doing, and I'm not in it for just like the fame or for the numbers or for the view counts. I just do it for the fun and for the thrill of and the enjoyment of covering interesting stories to come, and especially starting from then when I first did a little snippet on the Facebook fan page about in 2016 with the rematch between Christian Harloff and Josh McCouga, which is back then one of the most anticipated rematches since their infamous Blue Fairy incident, back in the 2014 tournament, all the way up to covering now on the SchmoedownLive.com with Frank Janis over the some of the biggest matches we've seen, especially during the pandemic, which is really amazing to think about. After making the transition to virtual matches. Yeah, I think what I can take away is it's just it's really fun to see just to see with how they got there and then what we expect of them to do, and sometimes they do something differently that that surprises me a lot, and I really love to see where their path and their decisions and their victories and losses would lead them throughout their journey as a Schmoedown competitor, and that's what I love to see, and well, cover down, especially as a big history buff.
Yeah.
All right. So as I said before, I really wasn't with Trivia SD, I really wasn't uh, clear on what I wanted to do. I wanted to try a bunch of different things, and it wasn't until recently, and one thing that did came out of the pandemic is me building my own spreadsheet with all the points and everything. And I found I just came up with this idea of doing a forecast for all the matches that were coming the next week. So my question is for you is like, what was that original spark that got you to say, I think I can do the previews. Let me do the previews. What was that like original spark that you had?
Well, I think it's just one of the original sparks is well, there was there's more than one original spark. I mean, of course, one of them was just to cover cover and give the people, especially those that just come here recently, about what has taken place and why this match is important, for this league. And another spark is basically just seeing as a big sports fan myself, especially all those commentators and personalities, such as the greats of Bob Costas and from NBC to Jim Lampley from HBO Boxing before it went dark, and even other sports personalities and commentators really inspired me to to cover it in a basically first there are various ways before developing my own way of covering each match. And I think also another original spark is basically the camaraderie to see for these compared to see to see the story of that I've written of how they got there, and how they got to here, and what can we expect of them. And it's kind of really interesting, especially when of course during those Patreon Q&A sessions, one such comparison, Dan Murrow, said that he's really enjoys reading my writings on the Schmoedownlive.com, and that's really inspiring to be touched on.
And I'm curious because we got a lot of content this year, right? Actually, I have a two-parter. I have a lot of content this year. So if a lot of things changing, studios to online to surprise people, if you would write one article to celebrate all the moments of this season, which moment would you choose?
Well, actually, believe it or not, I'm actually working on one such article right now, and which I'm putting on my own website eventually soon. It's just I haven't come over because of other professional for other professional things I have in my life right now. But I think for this upcoming article that I'm doing, I think it's just some of the special moments to that in retrospective of the season. I think, of course, one of them was just how the competitiveness and the intensity of competition in the Schmoedown actually never changed. When we made the transition from studio matches and live tapings to the virtual realm, and I'm really happy that that we still got the enjoyment and the same thrill and excitement that we usually see when Schmoedown matches were done back then, before world events of 2020 came hit us in the face. And I think also what it really contributes is how, especially the importance of adapting to different things that happen around the world, and how crucial it is, especially and I'm thinking especially for the chairman, Christian Harloff, of what he had to do to keep the Schmoedown going, and even I think before about the pandemic, but everything else about how to keep this league going, especially through first through Patreon, and then through Streamlabs, especially when he started to build his own network through SEN with various different shows. It really really confounds me of that the lesson of always be adaptive to whatever it is. It really is an important lesson to take, especially when the Schmoedown had to make those adjustments this last year. And I think some of the moments that we saw, the big ones is seeing those different faces from not just in California, but mostly outside of their filming location in California, through to other places, across the country, and of course, and quite possibly for this season around the world. And I think that it really helps brings much more. It will help bring much more exposure, exposure of the Schmoedown to everyone else. And I mean, had we not had found someone like Adam Collins, who has been, like on the other side of the country, we would never probably had this excitement and these memorable moments that we've seen, from last season. And I think there's so many amazing moments, especially from the new faces that came to play. And of course, all started with Ace Cabrera, shocking us all, winning the Star Wars tournament by defeating two big household names in the division in Laura Kelly and Andrew DeMolanta. And from there on, it just snowballed into much more, various excitement. And I think and all of that just credits to, what I said before, the ability to adapt to changing times. And I think that's what we all need to, take away from last season and into, whatever we want to do, in our personal and professional lives.
I was gonna ask the second part, but to be honest, I'm just gonna switch it to Jay Wade. I think he has a question for you.
Well, yeah, and it kind of piggybacking off of what Frenchie just asked you, except on a more of a all-time kind of moments thing. Like for me, if you were to ask me, what's one of the moments that stands out in your mind, the first one I'm going to give you is Bespin with Manson Roca. That's one of the matches that solidified my love for the Schmoedown. But of not just this season, but overall Schmoedown, do you have a moment or two like that just completely stick out in your mind?
Well, I think the first big moment that sticks out in my mind was definitely back in the 2014 Ultimate Schmoedown tournament during its first year, and I think the most memorable quote I can take out of from that year is that was of course from the Makuga upset over Harloff, and then when Makuga defeated Harloff, all that Harloff can yell at was this infamous quote: "The blue fairy sucks my." Well, that word. Yeah, that's probably the one quote that really got me snatched onto the Schmoedown, and excited to for me to see more to come. And of course later are other big moments, of course, from seeing Dan Murrell winning the singles championship for the first time, to seeing the outlaw John Roca make his standout year in 2016. And there's so many amazing moments, and of course it confounded into seeing team action really taking the spectacle to a whole new level, and of course seeing much more women in the Schmoedown, since with the two trailblazers and Clark Wolf and Rachel Cushing. And yeah, I mean those are the various moments I can think about that really comes to my mind when it comes to Schmoedown overall.
You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.